Welcome to the lesson on the respiratory system. In this lesson, we'll be discussing why organisms need a respiratory system. We'll label the respiratory system diagrams in your blue book, and then we'll talk about 5 respiratory disorders. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. We have oxygen is necessary for aerobic respiration, and carbon dioxide is a waste product. Animals larger than hydras cannot do gas exchange by diffusion alone and must have some kind of respiratory system. Let's take a look at a few examples. Earthworms do gas exchange through moist skin, and they have hemoglobin as an oxygen carrier just like we do. Grasshoppers have spiracles and tracheal tubes, which directly bring air into the tissues, which then diffuses into the tissues. Fish have gills, high surface area, and counter-concurrent exchange. They need a constant flow of water across the surface or the fish suffocates. This is highly efficient. Most water has less than 0.5% dissolved oxygen compared to 21% oxygen in our air that we breathe. So in order for a fish to get its oxygen, you can see with a much lower percentage that this process must be very efficient. All right, next let's take a look at the human respiratory system diagram in your blue book. So if you need to pause and grab that real quick, go ahead. And here we are at the respiratory system diagram. We're going to go in numerical order here. And we'll start with structure 1, which of course is the nasal cavity. It's most often where we take in air. Number 2 is our sinuses. Number 3 is the pharynx. Number 4 is the epiglottis, which you remember is the structure that closes to allow food down the esophagus. But it has to open in order to allow air into your trachea. So 6 is esophagus, and 7 is trachea. 8 is lung. 9, missed 5 over here, sorry about that, is the larynx. Okay, this is where your voice box is located as well. 9 is the pleura. 10 down here are the bronchi. So the trachea comes down and branches off into 2 bronchi. 12 is the diaphragm, which causes your lungs to expand and contract, and that's what causes the air pressure difference so that you can breathe. 13, here's a section of your lung that's been magnified. 13 are the alveoli, the sacs where the gas exchange takes place. 14 are blood vessels that lead to the alveoli. 15 are the capillaries where the gas exchange takes place. 16 are the bronchioles, which are just branches of your bronchi. And 11 would be bronchial tubes. So just to clarify, your bronchi then branch off into bronchial tubes, which then branch off into bronchioles to each of the individual alveoli. And the inside of the alveoli is called the alveolus, okay, or singular for one of the sacs. Okay? All right, that'll do it for our diagram. Let's take a look at 5 respiratory disorders, and we start with asthma. Asthma, the cause is unknown, but it may be related to allergies, and it is a spasm of the bronchioles, causing gasping and shortness of breath. Asthma is usually treated with antispasmodic inhalers. The second one are secondary infections that can be either viral or bacterial. They generally occur after colds or flu, and they include laryngitis, which would be an inflammation of your larynx, People often have very difficult time talking during that. Bronchitis, which is an inflammation of your bronchi tubes. And pneumonia. Pneumonia takes place in your lungs, and it's when the alveoli fill up with fluid. Emphysema is another respiratory disorder. It's caused by smoking or chemical exposure. The pleura and air sacs lose their elasticity, and this causes shortness of breath. There is no treatment for emphysema. Lung cancer, caused by smoking or chemical exposure. Tumors that form in the lungs and can be treated with radiation, removed by surgery, or chemotherapy. And the last one we're going to take a look at is called effects of smoking. Nicotine paralyzes the cilia and increases mucus production. This causes smoker's cough. Nicotine is also a powerful mutagen, which means it can mutate cells. And this, of course, leads to cancer, number 4 above. Here we have smoker's lung versus non-smoker's lung. On the left here, a healthy human lung, and a lung on the right here that has emphysema, mentioned in number 3. All right, that'll do it for our notes. Let's take a look at this video, which will go into more in depth about the respiratory system.